Hello everybody, and welcome back to Hidden Secrets SMP. And in today's episode, we're going to be doing a video that, to be honest, I've not really been looking forward to, but it's one that we really need to do. And this is actually probably going to be the start of a three-part, almost mini-series within the Hidden Secrets series. I don't know if we're going to do them all in order, like one after the other, but one of the projects that we need to do before leaving Spawn Town here is actually finish up the former members' houses. And the way I've decided to do this is we're going to spend one episode on each person's house, so Bsquared, the Whiskers, and Jog. Now Jogs doesn't have as much to do, so I may roll that one in with something else, but definitely Bsquareds and the Whiskers are going to need significant work to finish them. I guess this one not so much, but we're gonna kind of do this in a format where I'm going to tell you the magical tale of each member. We're gonna explore, I guess, each of the former members' stories. So in today's episode, I'm going to be telling you the story of Bsquared. So Bsquared is one of the former members to Hidden Secrets, and what this story is going to be, to kind of give you an idea, is it's not going to be a story about how or why they left or things like that, because that information I don't feel is something that we need to talk about. I've done videos on that in the past and I don't want to go over it again. What I would prefer to talk about is the good times and, you know, what these members contributed to the server over the time that they were here. So we will probably revisit this again at some point when we do the monument over on that side of Spawn, but I think for that I'm going to prefer to kind of do that in a format closer to almost like a direct conversation without them being there, almost like a monologue, I guess, of the things that I would like to say to them if they were still around, type of thing. So this house, interior wise, we're not really going to touch. It's only the exterior that I'm really interested in finishing off. The items and such we're going to leave behind. Now I did pick up some supplies from Bsquared's house in order to finish her build. So where to start, because Bsquared is actually the member that I have the most to talk about because she had the most input of the three former members. My sound feels a little low. Let me figure this out here. I don't know where my sound is at right now. There we go. I'm sorry about the frame rate skips there. So the way that Bsquared kind of had her tower was a little bit like this. Okay. So I'm just finishing this the best way I can. I don't know if this is what she had in mind or not, so where to start then with Bsquared? So Bsquared joined the server, I believe, in May of this year, so May 2015. I believe that she was the second member after the original group. It might have been the first, I'm not sure, because I know Underachiever joined, I think, not long after Bsquared joined. I can't remember if he was around or not at that point. I'm pretty sure he was, the more I think about it. So I think that she was the second member to join. I'm probably going to just terraform this up with some dirt, honestly, back here, rather than try and massively improve that. This needs to go. So Bsquared was a member that was added through knowing me. She joined as a friend of mine who came from the same public server the Whiskers did, which I did a video on recently. I did that rehab tour video, and that was where I met both the Whiskers and Bsquared. Bsquared joined a little bit after the Whiskers, and for me, Hidden Secrets has always been not just a YouTube server, It's sort of evolved more into that now, just because of where we have scouted people from. But at the time, Hidden Secrets was a generalized Minecraft server for anyone who I felt deserved the opportunity to collaborate, meet new people, and things like that. And Bsquared had done that. She demonstrated that in a different way. She had worked hard as a moderator on Rehab, so I gave her the opportunity to become part of my project as a member, and she was very interested in getting involved in the content production side as well. And this came at a time when the Whiskers departed, and I was still getting to know everybody as well. So I think part of the situation sort of evolved from that as well, quite honestly. I think part of the situation evolved from the fact that it's always nice to have somebody you know on the server. And Bsquared was out because she deserved the opportunity, make no mistake, and that's something that she carried through right until she left. And she joined when I think, for me, I can only speak for myself, I can't speak for her because that's not fair, but for myself, she joined at a time when things in my real life were not great, and she supported me through that and gave me a lot of confidence and motivation with Hidden Secrets, because the server was not doing so great at that time. We had lost Jog, we had lost the Whiskers, and I was feeling pretty concerned about where the server was going, and I almost began to, well, I did develop doubts about whether I was going to be able to make a success out of this. Now, you know, you look at Spawn, you look at what we've done, and you look at the people we've added and the track record that we have put together. While it's not perfect, and I don't think anybody on the server would say it is, I'm very, very confident about this server moving forward, and I think that we are going to have a great time here. As people, we're going to have a great time here, never mind the YouTube side of things. So, you know, there's a lot of positives to take. And Bsquared, as I say, early on, definitely was my rock during that real tough spell. And I will always acknowledge that. She gave me the confidence that I needed to continue and not give up and pursue my dream here and my project, even in the face of adversity. Now, obviously, she took on the project of building her house, and she built the sheep farm and things like that. They were the projects she did. And she was a good member. She worked hard, you know. How do I put this? There came a time when the Whiskers left that I needed a partner. And generally, when I look for somebody as a partner for a project like this, I was looking for somebody with server experience. That's why the Whiskers was made my partner. In addition to deserving it, and we'll talk about this more in his video, he had server experience. He ran his own public server. And I had not ran servers for a very long time. So I was very outdated on information and just general things to be in the know about. Minecraft versions and that type of stuff I was not up to date on. And Bsquared also had this moderation experience. You know, she'd been a moderator. You know, in my opinion, she deserved administration rank when the server did a big staff reshuffle. And by the way, for anybody who doesn't know, I was also on the staff of Rehab. I'm not anymore, but I was at the time, and I felt that she honestly deserved that opportunity. Others disagree with me. That's their choice. They're entitled to make that decision. I will have my opinion. They will have theirs. And that's all I can say on that. For me, that's what I felt anyway. And she didn't get that opportunity, unfortunately. That went to someone else who I think earned it fair and square. You know, I don't disagree with that. I think they earned it. So, you know, they have the right, I guess, to pursue that. And I don't know how Rehab's really doing because I've not asked. Maybe if I asked, I'd know. I'm going to kind of tidy this up a bit here. Kind of clean that wall up somewhat. I'm hearing a weird sound. Are you guys hearing that? Must be coming from another room. I don't know what it is. Anyway, she became my partner, to kind of boil it down, because of her experience. I don't want to make this really long-winded. And she then took on a series of different roles. And that includes, as well as being on the server, that includes helping me out with planning group events, organizing people, welcoming new people to the server that we get. Scouting is a big part of it. Paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork behind the scenes of Hidden Secrets that you guys don't see. Things like meeting documents, organizing the calendar. We have a group Slack chat, which is like a Skype group, but with some extra added features. If any of you are familiar with Discord, it's very similar to that, but without the voice chat. And, you know, it needs maintenance on there and stuff like that that needs to be done, and all that type of stuff. So there's a lot more to do than just what regular members would, you know, naturally expect to do. And Bsquared had been looking for an opportunity like that anyway, and I thought that this was a good idea. And looking back on it, it was a good idea. I don't believe that it wasn't. I think that it was a learning experience for us both. And it gave me an insight into the way someone else's mind works and how they deal with problems that may arise on a server and things like that. Would it be the way I deal with problems? No, it's not. It's fair to say that me and Bsquared, we had our differences when it came to running this server. And that's fine, because everybody is going to have their different ways of getting on. I'm a very direct person. I want to get things done, you know. I want to make sure that everybody is happy and organized. And so did she, but she just did it in a different way. Whereas I was more, okay, this, and this, and I worked through it logically. She took the approach more establishing absolutely every single fact first before making a decision and stuff like that. And we both usually arrived at the same outcome. We just had different ways of going on and dealing with it, which is fair enough. You know, that's just going to be how it's going to be, I think, most of the time. But anyway, she took on those roles. And pretty soon after that, some personal stuff came up between me and her. We had some interesting situations develop, which I'm not going to talk about, because that's not fair. More than it's not even something I want to talk about. If I'm quite honest, it's not even something that I would want to talk about. Never mind if, you know, I'm kind of violating her privacy also by talking about that stuff. But some stuff came up, and that sort of changed things between me and her permanently. And it was almost like a never going back type of thing when we made, well, we got into those situations, I guess, is the best way to put it. There was no going back from that. You can't go back from that. And this is something that did affect Hidden Secrets. You know, it affected our ability to operate. I began to struggle again. I had a really bad, probably month or two, and you know, I was getting really concerned about where certain things were going, and I wasn't seeing much in the way of progress. And this was kind of before Lack, Bitter Thread, and Mobius were added at this point. So it was me, her, Underachiever was added at that point, Xpony, Moon. Was that it? Or am I missing somebody? Lone, but Lone has been very, very busy for a long time now. And I think that was it, right? Is there anybody else I'm missing? I don't think so. No, that was everyone, obviously with myself. So I was again getting concerned, and we began to sort of develop a very different idea on strategy and where we wanted to go, and the best way to move forward collectively. We began to sort of have a difference of opinion. And don't get me wrong, that didn't cause arguments, but there was definitely dissatisfaction in both camps, because I think like we just ended up butting heads quite a bit and not really moving anywhere. And then shortly after that, maybe that I don't know, maybe that weighed somewhat in her mind. She went inactive from the server for a while. About a month or so. She had a lot of stuff going on in real life. Well, I don't really like using that term. Away from the internet. She had a lot of stuff going on away from the internet, and that meant that she could not put in the amount of time that she had been doing up until this point. And this was probably about 2 months ago now, maybe a little bit less even. And it became around a month that this had been happening, and I think that everybody here can agree, and I feel bad for saying it, but I think if you are going to be like an administrator, a partner, whatever you want to call it, you need to get on the server. You need to know what's going on. You need to check the Slack. You need to know how everybody is. I think that's just part and parcel of what that means to be. You know, for me, I like to be up to date with what everybody's doing. I watch everybody's videos. I like to see what's going on the server, how everybody's doing. I like to talk to people. We recently did the group event, so I can catch up with people. I have meetings every 3 months with individuals. We have group meetings monthly. So I know how things are with people. I think that's very important. And for Bsquared, she didn't have the time to do this. Didn't have the time to commit. And I got very, very busy myself. So I didn't have as much time myself either. And this is where, you know, her opportunity to shine would have really, really came in. And you would have thought, okay, well, I would have thought, well, here's your opportunity. You've been wanting to take on more. She'd been talking about that, and I was more than happy to support her in that as much as I could. And I had to go away, do some things, which, as it transpired, ended up becoming, you know, stream a day and things like that I do now. That's what I was working on. And I was planning this type of stuff for the future, so I was thinking, I'm going to be around less, so I need somebody who's going to be here more to look after things when I'm not around. And this didn't happen, unfortunately. I have to be careful what I say, because I don't want to offend anybody in the comments. I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to offend B either. But there was this group meeting that was set to be planned. It didn't happen. And a whole bunch of time was wasted through disorganization. And unfortunately, at that point, I began to get alerted to this issue about not being around more and more often, because it was that was the contributing factor to this meeting not happening. And subsequently, I had to split the meeting up, step in, and I'd do 2 meetings so that I could get everybody seen, because it came right at the same time as Canadian Thanksgiving, and obviously Underachiever and Mobius are Canada, right? So they had those things going on. So that happened immediately after that, so I had to separate it and split it up, and I was sitting and deliberating on what to do and what I thought was the best, because I already had this stuff on my mind anyway. And in the end, I came to the decision, and I think both me and B could agree on this decision, that it was not in the best interests of Hidden Secrets and where it was going for me to continue to, well, for B to continue being a partner on the server to me. So what I have done is I've depreciated the role at the moment completely, as in there is no partner right now. I'm running it on my own. And I informed B of this news. At this point, I don't think we'd even spoken for a week, which was highly unusual, because for anybody who doesn't know, me and Bsquared were very close, even outside of Hidden Secrets. We talked daily, pretty much, for basically the best part of a year. You know, we talked about our problems and things like that, and we talked about our good things as well, you know, and just generally about our days. And it became very weird. I'm not sure if something happened, or I can't remember exactly how all of that went, but anyway, it's not to do with Hidden Secrets, so I'm not going to talk about it, even if I did remember. So basically, I took the decision, you know, on her behalf, really, because I tried to make numerous attempts to contact her. This had not happened. I just took the executive decision after a week, and she'd not been on the server or the Slack for getting on close to a month, to just call it. She agreed with me. We kind of hit the same page. We had a talk about it, and she agreed. Subsequently, immediately after that, without even any delay or any haste, she left the server. In addition, that was nothing to do with me. I did not force her out. I actually made the point very clear. You're still welcome to be a member. I would love to see you stay and continue to do the things that you have been, you know, fantastic at, producing content, you know, this right here, you know, building. And she was great in group events. The people on this server loved her. I mean, you've seen what Underachiever's working on up there. That is in Bsquared's honor type of thing. You know, there was plenty of positives. It's just that the administration thing didn't work out. But she took the decision to leave, and that's completely her right. And I think probably for her, I mean, I have spoken to her a bit since she parted ways from us. Not too much, but a little bit. She seems happy with where she's at, and she's enjoying her life, and I think that's great. You know, I think that she's found an interest and a balance in her life of what she wants to do and what she wants to achieve, and I think that's great. And the least, you know, and the very most that I would want for her is the best of success, and I need to support her in those endeavors if I can. And the best way I could do that is by saying, you know, go for it, enjoy whatever it is you're going to be doing now. I wish you the very best of luck. The door to Hidden Secrets is always open for anybody, and this goes for Whiskers and Jog too. The door is always open. I'll always be there to talk. I'll always be there to, you know, possibly discuss a return if anybody wanted to return. It would very much depend on everybody's opinions on the server, but, you know, the people here are very nice, and I'm sure they'd be understanding, because people make decisions and then they later regret them. That's just what happens, you know. Sometimes, I know I've made decisions that later I've regretted, and you wish you could go back. Well, I'm giving people that opportunity here if they decide that, you know. I always keep the door open, and even if people just want to talk, you know, they want to add me on Steam or whatever, and we'll talk, you know. I'm more than happy to sit down and give up some time to any of these people, because they took a chance on me, and I think that's, at the very least, I can return the favour. And they're all very, very nice people, don't get me wrong. You know, Bsquared was a lovely person, and a great asset and addition to our server, and I will maintain that. Things just got difficult at the end. That happens sometimes, you know, and there's very little I can really do or say about that, you know. That's just how things sometimes go. And unfortunately, on this occasion, it didn't work out. Following this event, Bsquared left the server, so that's kind of where the story ends. She finished the sheep farm before officially leaving. She did do that, so I give her props for, you know, wanting to take the time to finish that. I think that was very kind, so that we didn't have to do that, you know, and she knew exactly what she wanted to do with it. But following that, that's kind of where the story on Hidden Secrets ends. I will kind of give you guys an update from what I know about what's going on. I don't think she has any plans of producing any more content. She hasn't put out any videos since she left the server, so I don't think she has any plans of continuing that. She's enjoying her new life, so to speak. I say new life, but not a whole lot's really changed. I mean, her life away from Hidden Secrets, she's enjoying that. We spoke briefly, I think, last week on Steam, and she kind of updated me, and obviously I can pass on to you know, to you guys, that she's doing well, she's enjoying what she's doing, and you know, that's all we can wish for. Now, what kind of surprised me a little bit is we had this conversation. Some things happened in that conversation also that I'm not going to go into. But I found a few days ago when I was checking Steam for something else, I'd actually just been deleted, and I've been deleted off of everything from what I can tell. So I guess that's where the journey ends for me and her at this point. I know she still follows me on Twitter and things like that, so she does have that outlet. But things like Steam and that, I've just been deleted on, so I don't know what the situation is there. And I don't want to be misquoted here. That doesn't mean we don't get on. You know, she was probably just doing a friend's clear out list. She may have cleared out other people for all I know. from what I understand, me and Bsquared are on good terms still. So I don't want you guys to take any false assumptions and, you know, start assuming things that aren't actually there or aren't actually real and things like that. You know, we are, as best as I can understand, still friends. We just don't talk actively anymore. That's kind of the situation as I understand it. You'd have to ask her what she feels on her side, but I don't think she would really want to talk about it. I don't know, maybe she would. I really don't know, because I haven't spoken to her extensively for a long time. And as you can tell, this is a video that I've not relished wanting to do, because it's always a difficult situation talking about a former member, especially somebody who I was close to, and especially somebody you guys loved. And on top of all of that, if that wasn't enough, you know, I feel like I could very easily be hated into oblivion for this, and it's a video I didn't want to do because of that, because I know that you guys really have given up so much of your time and respect and things like that, and I'm trying to conduct myself in such a way that, you know, reflects who Bsquared was, because she was a lovely person. She didn't ever put a foot wrong, as far as I'm concerned, and we just grew apart, and there was just differences, you know, and she couldn't get on, she didn't have the time. I really apologize to anybody who thinks it was harsh that I took the administration privilege away, but I had no choice because of what I felt was the best for the server and the other members on it. So I have to always make that decision, and sometimes it just means that things don't work out, and it's always difficult because of that. And to kind of add on to all of that, you know, she did agree with this. You know, she was on board with what I had suggested. Hopefully, I personally hope that we'll see her again at some point, whether it be, you know, in an ultra hardcore sometime, or whether she decides to join us for the, well, I want to say end of season tour, but that's not going to be happening, as far as I can tell, anytime in the near future, or even in the long future, honestly. I don't plan resets, so, well, the map will never be reset, but aside the point. But hopefully she'll join us again for something at some point, you know. She may go back into video content production, and in which case I will try and do my best to let you guys know if she's doing that. But at the moment, the impression I'm getting is there is no plans to continue that type of stuff. I think that for B, it was always difficult coming into a server like this that was filled with YouTubers having never done content production before. That was one of the things she highlighted to me. Not only at the end, but also when she first got involved in the project, she highlighted that, you know, and I can completely understand and respect that. And she took the bull by the horns and achieved a challenge well, and she put out some good quality content, made a lot of new friends, and had a very special part in the Hidden Secrets history, that is for sure. And that's why I wish her nothing but the best for the future. I sincerely hope that she has a great time with whatever it is she's doing. And, you know, I just want to say to you, B, on a personal note, good luck, my friend. I hope that you have a great experience. I know that she was saying to me that she was playing a lot of retro video games, which I think is really cool. So, you know, I hope you have a good time, B. I really do. And, you know, hopefully at some point I'll hear from you again. We can kind of resolve situations if there was anything left outstanding. At some point, there will be that opportunity. And as I say, my door to you is always open. So, if you ever want to talk, then I'll be there. That's as simple as that, you know. I try and be kind and, you know, and supportive, but I also have to be fair, and I have to consider my own server's interests at the same time. And I'm sure that everybody here who watches this video can respect that. Even if you don't agree, if you respect that, then I think that's enough as far as I'm concerned. Oh, man. Not something I really want to talk about. But it has to be done. And meanwhile, we've just been getting through this here. We've just been blitzing it away and just massively working on this. A lot of torches all over the place in here. I don't know why. But yeah, there's a heck of a lot of torches around. I think we need that one up there. I guess there must have been mobs spawning in the house at one point. I don't know. So what we will do is we will finish this house, which we've almost done. We patched up that area there. We finished it around the back. I'm pretty much happy with the side. I'm just planting flowers and such at this point and getting rid of the torches. One of the things we will do before we end the episode is we will take a look around Bsquared's different projects that she had in mind and what she built and stuff like that before we give her a proper send-off. And next episode we will actually be probably continuing this story stuff, and we'll be talking about our friend the Whiskers, who I have a lot less to say about because I mean it was a very long time ago now and he wasn't here that long, so there'll be a lot less to talk about. But overall, all I can say is I hope that you guys haven't been massively upset or offended by this video, and you guys can respect everything that I've said, you know, and hopefully you guys are a little bit more clear now about what the Bsquared situation is or was. If you had any rumors or queries or anything like that, hopefully I've cleared them up for you. It's always a difficult situation, as I say, and it's not something that I relish talking about often. As far as the flower planting and such goes, I'm going to have a lot more of that to do, and I'm probably going to need to collect a lot more flowers, so I don't think we're going to continue with that for too much longer, because we're pretty much, you know, we've been going a while now anyway, so it's coming towards the end of our episode. But I thank you guys for listening, and, you know, just taking the time out to listen to what I had to say, because it is a situation that I've been wanting to clear up for a little bit of time. Oh yeah, I forgot that this was down here, that's right. See, there's this andesite here. Can I put it there? Oh yes, there we go. I can put it there. And I can throw this down and I can put that in place. There we go. Hide that nice light in there. I want to pick up this crafting bench if I can. So how are we looking now with this house here? Apart from the flower planting, we're pretty much done with the overall construction of it. I only wanted to make a few tweaks to this place. Oh, hello. Get out of here. There we go. So, wow, we didn't actually use all that many supplies either. I guess I'll carry these forward into Whiskers build, which we've got a lot more to do on moving forward. So that's going to be pretty much the final design, I think, of Bsquared's house. I may make a few small cosmetic changes, i.e. replacing certain blocks with mossy and cracked. And that's going to be about it. I have little to no other things to change. The pathway in here is already complete. We planted most of the flowers that I'm going to be planting. We've got to extend it a little bit to the sheep farm, but that's kind of a project for another day. And we'll also have to run it up here towards where Exponent's house is. But that's pretty much me done on Bsquared's house. Just tidied it up, given it a bit of a clean up. And that'll be the end of the road, really, with that. So, before we end off the episode, let's talk about and look at Bsquared's projects. So this was her spawn house. This was the first thing that she worked on. This is all her items and things like that, her inventory. Didn't end with a good bow. Everything else was pretty good. I think the last video she appeared in was finishing the sheep farm, and she also appeared in the group event that we did, the Abbot Cave-in, and she was teamed up with Lack for that. So her armor and things like that, she left a bunch of signs, which I thought was a nice touch to the place. Just more items. It's kind of a furnace corner, I guess. Potter's Closet, she was a big Harry Potter fan, as am I. Thanks to her, I'm currently going through a massive Harry Potter phase. love Harry Potter at the moment. She makes me, now I think about it, makes me want to read again. I'll have to do that after this video. And this is kind of her tower. She had wolves. She was the first person, I believe. Oh no, Jog was the first person to have wolves. But for the longest time, she was the only person who had pets. I haven't actually seen that sign before. I've not actually been up here. These signs, the first time I saw them, and I wandered around the server after all of this had been done the following day, I have no shame in admitting I probably shed a tear or two, and I actually got really upset about this. I mean, I didn't, you know, emotionally fully break down. It's not like I've lost her forever, but it was very, very sad to see, and I always hate seeing anybody leave my project. It's at the absolute last resort. You know, I didn't want her to go. Nobody wanted her to go. So it was, on a personal note, it was incredibly sad for me to see somebody who I had known for almost a year and been a best friend to me during that time was incredibly sad, you know, and I got really upset about this. And honestly, if it wasn't for E046, who you guys are probably familiar with on my live stream, listening to me kind of go through it all, I don't know where I would be at right now with this. I don't think I would have ever really gotten over it. I guess I've not really gotten over it. That's not the right word. It's a lot like losing somebody, you know, and you know that they're not coming back, and you have to accept that. It's really difficult. It's not so different from having a friend that you know outside of the internet and them moving away and you never see them again, and you think about them, and it's incredibly sad. Especially a close friend, you know. It was really just so unfortunate the way the whole thing played out. But yeah, it was only really thanks to E046 listening to me that I was able to work the situation out, accept it for what it was, and actually move forward with the positive things, because there's a lot of positive stuff going on around the server. You know, I look at the things being built. You know, you take a look around. There's a lot of positive things going on. We did the group event this weekend, you know, or last weekend, the Ocean Monument. That was a really positive, fun experience. And I've started my stream a day. I've really tried to improve my video editing and content production and things like that as I've gone full time. So there's plenty of positive things, you know. And that's probably the biggest thing I could say is there are going to be negative things, and I love how this has become like a talk between me and the viewers. But this is, you know, I kind of feel like I should share this with you guys. There's always going to be negative things that come along in life. It's just how things are. And for me, negative things, they affect me. You know, I get these curveballs thrown, and I have no shame in admitting I am a sensitive guy. You know, I feel this stuff, and it's difficult, but I get through it. Now, you know, and that's the one thing I can say to you guys too, is you will get through these difficult situations, and you will come out the other side stronger for it. It's really true. In my opinion, it's true anyway. And, you know, there is always good things to come as well as bad. And losing Bsquared was a bad thing, you know, there's no doubt about that. But I choose to focus now on the good things that are going on in my life, while remembering the positive times I had with Bsquared, and remembering her presence on the server. That's why we've not demolished the house, that's why we've not demolished the sheep farm. You know, we wanted to keep it as true as possible and remember the part that she had to play in our history. And I hope that many people who join the Hidden Secrets community, either as members, viewers, you know, live stream watchers, whoever, you know, they know who Bsquared was and the positive input she had. And that's all I can hope for, along with wishing her the very best, as she does for me. So that's the big thing I can give to you guys, is just keep you know, keep strong, and there will be good times. I'm sure of that for each and every one of you, because you're all wonderful people. Everyone out there who watches my videos, you're all wonderful people with great, incredible lives and awesome journeys that you're on, and there will be curveballs along the way, just like I experience, you know, but there are also great things to come. You know, this is one of the great things. There's a wonderful world out there to explore, and each and every person on this planet has the opportunity to do that. You know, it's up to them whether they take it or not. And that's what I would say to you guys is go and take your opportunities and do what you want to do, because that's what I've done, and I've really enjoyed it so far. And if it wasn't for Bsquared, I don't think I'd be doing it right now, because she helped me through a lot of personal stuff earlier in the year, and for that I'm forever in debt to you, B. And I appreciate that, and I appreciate everything you did, all the great stuff you did on Hidden Secrets, the great stuff you did on Rehab, the legacy you've left behind. You know, you were a great upstanding member until literally the very last day that you left, from the moment you joined. And even after you left, you've set a good example to future members, and you've also, you know, been very professional, mature, and responsible on social media, and not spreading rumors or whatever, you know, or whatever, I guess. I kind of just repeat myself there, but as you can tell, it's a little bit upsetting for me, so I apologize for that, guys. But you know, don't get me wrong, Bsquared was a great member and always will be known for that. She's been very professional, and I've been very, very happy with everything she did. The only thing I wish is that she could be here now to enjoy it, but that's not going to happen, and we just have to accept that. Anyway, back on topic after what was a long-winded tangent. I don't know how long I've been recording. This is her sheep farm. This was the final project that she left behind. She completed it to the best that she could, and I'm glad that she did. You know, this will be a monument that people will use for many, many moons, suns and moons to come. Her house will remain here indefinitely. I intend to just kind of come through here and plant some flowers and get rid of the torches around the building itself, but that's all I have planned now for this area. I think that in recognition of being her achievements, the least that we can do is leave everything here for her. And as I say, Underachiever is doing his thing up there to honour what B had planned, which is looking really cool, by the way. And, you know, that's kind of where the story ends, I'm afraid. And that pretty much means that we are also out of time for this video. Next episode, we're going to be focusing on the Whiskers house and trying to finish that, more than likely. Unless I decide I want to do something else, I'm going to try and finish this. Next episode, there's substantially less stuff here, so I'm going to have quite a challenge getting this finished, but that's what we're going to be working on as one of my next projects. And we'll also, probably the episode after that, or at least part of that episode, discuss our old friend Jog as well, and talk about his story. But yeah, that pretty much concludes this episode. I'd like to take a special moment to thank Bsquared for everything that she did, for her wonderful builds and fantastic contribution to Hidden Secrets. And I'd like to thank all of you guys for watching, as always, and I hope to see you in the next video. Again, I apologize if anything here has been taken in a way that offends you. That's not how I meant it to be at all. Same for B, you know, I hope that you were not offended by the things I said, because that was not my intention. All I can say is that I wish you the very best of luck for the future. And until next time, guys, see you later, and have a good day.